So thanks everyone. Welcome to our webinar around social work from the University of Tasmania Future Students team. Yeah, lovely to see everyone turning up. So we'll kind of go slow at the start before we kick off, and that way everyone can arrive and we can make sure that everyone's on deck. So hi everyone, my name's Chris. I am part of the University of Tasmania Future Students team. So I'm here with some colleagues. I've got Maureen, I've got Kate, I've got Annabelle, Narelle and Amelia. We'll be talking about the Bachelor of Social Work and the Master of Social Work. So let's kick off. So to begin with, of course, we'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the Palawa Pakana of Lutruwita, the traditional owners of the land upon which we live and work. We pay respects to elders past and present as the knowledge holders and sharers. We honour their strong culture and knowledges as vital to the self-determination, well-being and resilience of their communities. We stand for a future that profoundly respects and acknowledges Aboriginal perspectives, culture, language and history. Cool. Well, thanks everyone. Yeah, so welcome to our webinar. So today we're going to cover a couple of topics. You'll see, first of all, we talk about why study at the University of Tasmania, why become a social worker, some of the course options that we have, questions around placement, how to apply, and we'll have a Q&A session. But before we get to all of that, we do have a couple of little hygiene pieces. You'll notice that the chat has generally been disabled as happens when we have large webinars. So if you have a little look, there's a Q&A button down the bottom of your Zoom bar. If you do have any questions, please pop those questions in the Q&A button. They'll be answered as we go from our staff. If we don't have time to get to your questions or if things run over time, please rest assured that we keep a list of all of these questions and the people that have asked them, and we will follow up any unanswered questions. So yeah, thanks. And just in case we do go over time, a little bit of hygiene there. So please feel free to ask as many questions as you like. And my colleagues, Narelle, Amelia, and Kate, and whoever's here will be able to, we'll try and answer those as we go. All right. Well, first of all, I'm assuming that most of you know a little bit about the University of Tasmania, but really, you know, we just want to talk about kind of why you would study at the University of Tasmania. Really for us, you know, some of the things that we're really proud of are our strong student satisfaction results. So 81% of our students are satisfied with the teaching quality and engagement. We have really good graduate outcomes at university. We're really proud of that. 85% full-time employment rates for graduates compared to the national average of 80%. So yeah, really pleased. Student support wise, we're not a big university. You're not in a cohort of 300 commencing students. You know, we have all sorts of student support services available, and we will talk about those later. But I can say with confidence that you know, Kate and Annabelle will know most of the people in their cohort, and it's really you know, I think those smaller cohort sizes are a fabulous thing that we have. One of the things that we're most proud of is we are #1 in the world for climate action. So this is the 3rd year running that we've done this. This is something that we take really seriously at the university. You know, I work across all disciplines at the university, and we really do build kind of, you know, sustainability and climate action into everything we do, whether it be teaching and learning, whether it be how we actually run our campuses. Yeah, and you know, it's not a fluke. We've had it for 3 years running, and we are #2 in the world across the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So again, really, you know, we really put our money where our mouth is on this, and I'm really proud to be a part of the university. This is one of our Master of Social Work students, Felicity. Just here, you know, reiterating exactly what I've said. Students are there because they want to be there. They want to create change, and they want to be part of this new workforce. You know, it's, again, I think this will come across when you talk to Kate and Belle, I think, but, you know, this is yeah, can't speak enough about the community and the smaller class sizes that we have. So we really try and build that here. And I think, you know, that's why Felicity's endorsement is there. First, I'd like to introduce Kate. So Dr. Kate Vincent is the Acting Head of Discipline for Social Work. She's a Bachelor of Social Work with Honours course coordinator and the Master of Social Work course coordinator. So hi, Kate, and thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you. I'm coming to you from Nipaluna, Hobart, on the lands of the Palawa people today. So Just a little bit about me. I graduated from University of Tasmania as well. Did the Bachelor of Social Work with honours graduating in 2011. And I did my PhD here as well. So I love the
I
University of
love it.
Tasmania. And yes, so as part of the two courses that I'm going to talk about today, I'm the coordinator of both of those. So what that means is that along the journey, you would spend a bit of time getting to know me, but then also in the classroom as unit coordinator of units along the way.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate. We also have a current student of the program. So Belle is with us here today. Hi, Belle.
Hi.
So Belle is a third year Bachelor of Social Work with honours student. Belle's really engaged with a lot of things at university. She's the treasurer of the Tasmanian University Social Work Community and general secretary of TUSA, the Tasmanian University Student Association. I know Belle's been really active in the program. 3 years in, Belle relocated to study in Tasmania and has a wonderful story. So thank you so much, Belle.
Thanks for having me. You know my spiel at this point.
I do. And as you can probably guess, we all work pretty closely together here at the University of Tasmania. So it's one of the things I love is the community we have here. So, all right. Well, I think let's hand over to you, Kate. So, and just you'll have to apologies everyone. Kate just needs to let me know when to advance the slides. So there might be a little bit of awkwardness there.
Sure, no awkwardness at all. And jump in, Belle, if you think that there's anything else to add from the student experience. So why social work? We get asked that all the time. And when you ask a student, it's often because there are people who really want to help others and to make positive change in the world. And that's a great reason to join social work if you're someone who is thinking about that. So we work from a really strong social justice and human rights perspective, hoping to help improve the well-being of those in our society. We hear a lot of students say that they sort of came into this, wanting to learn about how to help others, and they learn a lot about themselves during that process. And at the moment, it's a really good time to be joining social work. We have more jobs than we have workers at the moment. So we're finding that our students are in such high demand that they're often already having really meaningful jobs in the field before they graduate. And they're just sort of finishing off the degree with that organisation really excited to know that they'll be a graduate very soon. Probably time for the next slide. Thank you. So here at UTAS, both of our courses that I'm going to talk about in a moment are accredited, which means that the Australian Association of Social Work, who is our peak body for the profession in Australia, have said that our courses make you an accredited social worker. So not all courses are accredited, but often you'll find when someone is looking for a social worker, when you're looking on Seek or something for a job, they're looking for an accredited social worker, someone who's eligible to be part of the ASW, and that's what that means. So it's really quite important to be coming through with an accredited social work degree in terms of job prospects. If you're studying in the bachelor, the first 2 years give you quite a bit of flexibility for online study and on-campus offerings, and being able to study full-time and part-time. And then when you get to, if you're in the bachelor in years 3 and 4, and in the first 2 years of the masters, you'll also find that that's where you're coming onto campus and we're having that on-campus requirements, but also opportunities and no exams. We work really closely to make sure that our programs are providing what the industry is looking for, and we're doing that increasingly as we are doing a few updates to the course at the moment. And you get to enjoy 1,000 hours of actual placement experience while you're doing the degree. So 2 14-week placements where you can be in an organisation working as learning as an emerging social worker. Next slide, please. So we have classes online and in person in the masters and the final 2 years of the bachelor, a lot more in person time. We have a variety of how we do that teaching, but we do find that students are able to still have jobs and then come onto campus and do their on-campus requirements, have time on sort of like self-paced learning, and then also being able to sort of juggle the other things in their life. But you can always talk to us about finding the right fit, because that can be between sort of like 1 and 4 subjects is sort of how the load goes between part-time and full-time. When you're on placement, you really are getting that opportunity to be able to really get your teeth into what it's like to be a social worker. And we have a variety of different placement opportunities. And we also do a variety of different assessment pieces. So sometimes students will come in and they are thinking they're going to do essay after essay. We definitely don't do that. We mix it up. We try and keep a fair bit of variety and creativity in how you get to do your assessments. Next slide, please. A question I get all the time is, why would I study social work over psychology, or what's the difference? This slide could be talked about for 3 hours. There are a lot of things that can be similar about social work and psychology, and there are some distinct differences. So we often find that some students start in social work and head over, and vice versa. Some students also choose to come in to either of these through pathways like Diploma of Counselling. So, social workers tend to have more of a broader community focus. So we might do one-on-one work, but we might also work in policy or research, or do work at that community level. While psychologists tend to be more focused on the one-on-one, and we are focused on mental health and the mind and human behaviour. We also, can I go back one?
Sorry,
Thank you. No, that's fine. So while psychologists might tend to have more of a therapeutic approach and really sort of focus in on developing cognitive, emotional, interpersonal, behavioural skills, we might provide more of a psychosocial support. So also sort of knowing that there are things that are happening in someone's world that are impacting their personal experience, and we're trying to make change at different levels as well. After a couple of years of being, after you've graduated from a social work degree, if you find that you've really just want to focus in and dig your teeth into mental health, and you have been doing that, you can become a registered sort of clinical mental health specialist with accreditation and go into private practice, which can be quite similar to the psychologist role. But the degree time is quite different. It's with 2 years in the master's and 4 years in the bachelor, you have your license to operate in the mental health space straight away. It's a bit longer in the journey to study to get to that point in social work, in psychology. We're not registered, we are accredited, which means a little bit of a different thing, but that's probably not too big of a sort of a deal in terms of why you would decide either version of pathways. Thanks, Chris. So a little bit about the 2 courses. Did you have anything to throw into the mix, Bill, while we're... No?
Not yet.
Perfect. Okay, so here are the 2 courses that we offer in at UTAS, that we offer across all 3 of our campuses. So that's in Hobart, Launceston and Burnie, and that's the Bachelor of Social Work with Honours and the Master of Social Work qualifying. The next slide, thank you. So I won't go too big into all of the details. I know that you're getting these slides afterwards, but basically a bachelor is when you don't have necessarily, well, you don't have another degree behind you. You might have a variety of different, you might have come straight from a grade 12, you might have done a diploma, you might have a world of life experience. And so this is where you would come to study social work. So as I said, available on all of our courses in the final 2 years. That's where you complete that placement. And we're usually seeing about an ATAR of 70 to apply, all through the school recommendation program. But there are other ways to come in, and that's where, if you're interested, have a chat with someone. We also, if you're an international student, we do expect, or the ASW, that's that accrediting body I talked about, they require that a student has an IELTS of 7 with no band less than 7. So this slide probably won't mean all that much to you at the moment, but what it really helps to you to see is what it looks like over the course of the degree. So in the first 2 years, we've chosen some core units that we want you to take, and then you'll have an opportunity to choose a variety of restricted electives that are of more interest to you. And then in the final 2 years, that's where you're in social work only units. So in the first couple of years, you might be being taught in disciplines like sociology, international relations and politics, geography around that sustainability focus. You might be doing something in psychology and criminology. So you get a bit of broad learning as well. And then you go really focused into social work only units for the final 2 years. Next slide, please. Then in the masters, that's where you have to have another degree. So this might be for our career changes, or someone looking to sort of upskill. Maybe you've got a Bachelor of Arts and now you're ready to sort of go and make that a social work degree. So in those cases, you would come in and do 2 years of that degree. And so degrees that are in related areas can include, wouldn't be social work, but it would be psychology, maybe education, maybe nursing, political sciences, or you might not have a degree that's in a related area, and that's where we'd look at what kind of pathway you might need to get the support to do some units before you come into the masters, so that you're up to speed and you're not disadvantaged in kind of hitting the ground running. And sometimes we've got someone who has both. So maybe they've got a degree in IT and then they did a diploma of community support, and then they can get direct entry. So if you're wondering, please apply and put your application forward, and we can assess it and let you know what will be the right pathway for you into the degree. And again, expecting that IELTS of 7 with no band less than 7. And here you'll see that the masters are all social work core units, and you're sort of picking up the same units that those students in the 3rd and 4th year of the bachelor are completing. So you'll work alongside them, which makes for a really rich experience in the classroom, having master's students and bachelor students learning from each other and getting to share. Sometimes our master's students have a lot more life experience under their belt, a lot of experience in the field, and that can be a real advantage to bachelor students to get some of that, like what does that look like in reality, and some real wisdom. So we find that it's an absolute strength to join our cohorts up together. And some of those frequently asked questions that we get, so the way that you do that 1,000 hours of placement is structured into 2 14-week blocks of full-time in that organisation, but we can look at part-time options for those who might have caring or work responsibilities or accessibility concerns around full-time placement. And we have a variety of field partners that we work with really closely to get really good placement opportunities for students. And at the moment, we have more people who want our students than we have students to go there. So we're picking the best of the best for you, and we'll continue to do that. So sometimes people will say, can I please choose my placement? Or we don't do that. We're the ones who will make sure that there's a really good somewhere for you to go. And Belle, I know you're on placement right now, so it'd be lovely if you had a bit of wisdom to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am halfway through my first placement at the moment. And I am working at the Department of Police, Fire and Emergency Services in conjunction with the Social Work Clinic of UTAS as a wellbeing and support officer for emergency and first responders. Very, very long-winded way of saying that I just get to catch up and chat with people about how their work is going, how their home lives are going as well. So my placement's been amazing. We've spent lots and lots of time learning on the job. I get to see my first proper clients on Thursday this week, so I'm very excited for that to happen. But it is a really supported environment to just start learning, and 1,000 hours feels like a lot, and it is. But I think if it was any less, you wouldn't really be able to sort of get involved in the agency that you're working in as well. The friends that I've made so far in my placement have been amazing. And I would hope that maybe one day when I finish my degree that I could potentially come back and work in the place where I've done my placement. So yeah, it's a pretty special kind of environment to be in, and you're so well supported. So yeah, little spiel on my
Thanks,
place.
Belle. Thanks, Belle. So yeah, we have a clinic here at social work that we've had got off the ground this year. So some of our students will do placement as part of the clinic in sort of nodes within the community. We also have students that go to places like Bapt Care, Anglicare, Colony 47, Child Safety, the prison, Youth Justice, schools. So every year, different organisations have availabilities. Sometimes the place where you work might be willing to offer you a sort of an opportunity in a different area of your organisation, so not under the same supervisor or the same program, but somewhere else where you could do your placement at the place you work. And we can talk with you about that when you enter, about whether that's something that could be possible or not. Placement poverty and that sort of struggle that students go through in doing 14 weeks of an unpaid learning opportunity it's huge. You know, we don't want to sort of downplay that, but we are finally getting some support from the government for disciplines like social work and nursing and education, where you'll get there's going to be a means tested payment that's going to be supporting students on prac from next year, mid next year onwards. So we'll hope to fight the government to get a little bit more money out of them than that. But for us in the country, that's sort of the first thing we've seen in terms of government support, and it's very welcomed. So that's something to know about. And some of the things that you can do. So a lot of the time, people who are social workers don't actually work in a field in a job title that's called social worker. But people are looking for social workers to fill that role because of the education that you have behind you. They want that lens, they want that social work lens to come into those roles. So that can mean that working in child safety, it can mean working in drug and alcohol, it can mean that you are literally called social worker, you know, in the hospital or in education department. That's probably what your name might be, palliative care social worker or mental health social worker. But you could be a relationships counsellor, a migrant and refugee resettlement worker, a youth worker, disability advocate. So we take a variety of roles. I've been a team leader. So, you know, you don't always necessarily have the word social worker, but it's that experience from that degree that people are looking for. Next slide, please. That might be me done.
That is, sorry, and I got a little overexcited there. So thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you, Belle and Kate.
Thank
Look,
you.
and I think you've touched on it. I think for us, you know, study can be stressful, but of course we're here to help. I think the big thing for us at UTAS, as I touched on before, is really kind of our commencing cohort sizes. So knowing between the Masters and the Bachelor of Social Work, you'll be around 90 in your starting cohort when you study with us. And that really means that people know your name. So, and on top of that sense of community, we also have study support available, things like peer-assisted study sessions. So where other students that have kind of gone through the same issues that you have will kind of help you work through. We have student advisors, there's learning workshops and 24-hour study support through Studiosity. We do have career guidance services. So we do have a Career Connect service. So I saw some questions popping up around part-time work. Certainly, you know, we have services in place to try and help people get these jobs. We also employ student ambassadors, and we do a range of things to try and help our students kind of survive and thrive. From a counselling point of view, obviously, you know, we certainly, you know, we focus a lot on having counselling wellbeing available for our students in person and online, and that can be academic, mental health, or personal counselling. So yeah, really, really proud of the support services we offer for this well, not just for this program, but for all programs. We get a lot of questions around domestic student fees, scholarships, and the application process. So I think, you know, really when it comes down to this, a couple of things I can talk to domestic fees for you. So social work, both at the undergraduate and the master's level, is what's called a Commonwealth supported course. So that means that the government kind of subsidises the fees that you pay on a higher education loan program or a help loan. Those fees are roughly about $9,000 per year, and they do change every year that you study. And those figures get released by the government in October of every year. So it does vary depending on kind of those electives that you might choose in the course, and that can change that. But certainly as a guide, this is what's called a band 2, so roughly $9,000 a year for a student that can be deferred on a help loan. Scholarships wise, you know, we have a lot of students. If you are relocating to study, then we do have relocation bursaries available for you. We have a range of both kind of merit and equity scholarships available at the University of Tasmania. I can't stress enough when it comes to those relocation bursaries to kind of, you know, get your application as soon as you accept your application, apply for those scholarships now because they are limited. And it's certainly a first in, first come type approach. But we have a range of those relocation scholarships going out to students today and tomorrow. But certainly if you have applied for this already and you have accepted that offer, then please jump on our scholarships portal and make sure it's really easy to apply. Once you complete an About You section in the scholarships portal, it then gives you the option to then not have to repeat that information for multiple scholarships because you might fall under several of them. So please have a chat to one of our student advisors if you've got questions, or reach out to us around scholarships. So applying online, we are the only university in Tasmania, and therefore there's no tertiary admission centres. You apply directly to the university online through our application portal. You'll just need to provide information about your previous study or work experience. That could be, you know, a copy of your testimonial or details of your previous qualifications that we can check online to make sure you are in that cognate degree. Once you receive your offer, we send you out an offer to study. Certainly would recommend you accept that offer as soon as possible, just for things like those scholarships. Can't stress enough, they're limited. So yeah, please do. And then our enrolment will open in December of this year, and you can then choose those subjects for the year and kind of plan your year around that. But yeah, really easy, all done via utas.edu.au. So we run a number of sessions. So Know Your Options is an event that will be happening in Tasmania. So for those Tasmanian attendees here, both in Launceston, Hobart and Cradle Coast, and that's really a session where you can come. We'll have some academics there, we'll have some enrolment support, and we can help you kind of get your study plan set up for the year. For those of you that are studying from interstate, then please let us know in the questions and we can reach out and give you a booking link for one-on-one sessions if you need. We will also have a webinar for any interstate students who are considering this. I'll pass over to my colleague Maureen. If you could help us please with some information on international student fees, scholarships and the application process.
Hi, everyone. This is Marine, and I am from the International Student Recruitment Team. So I'll be taking you through with the application process and some of the scholarship bit. There are basically two ways of applying to University of Tasmania. Either you can simply go onto our website with the help of study link, you can put up an application, or you can use our authorized representatives. So we've got our representatives, spread across different countries, and you can take their help in it. Secondly, when you are submitting your application, you do require a few essential documents. One of them is proof of identity, which means we will be needing your copy of passport. Academic documents, so we need your previous results, like if you're applying for the bachelor's degree, we would be needing your 12th grade results. If you're applying for the master's, we need your bachelor's transcript and degree. Last but not the least, English proficiency. So understanding that social work is a noble profession, and we will be requiring a higher IELTS result. So with a lot of programs, maybe PTE is not acceptable. So you need to check the university's website and see if you meet the requirements. So now there are a few country-specific requirements, which is called the genuine student requirement. It's not required for all the countries, but there are a few countries where it is required. So when you go to our website, you would be able to see the country managers listed, like one of them is I myself. So you can always contact your country managers and ask them if there is any requirement for the genuine student documents. Now, students who are curious to know their equivalencies, so there's a very useful link on our website that can take you to the ETA equivalencies, and you can match it with your own country requirements. That's quite helpful. Last but not the least is the visa process. Of course, students who are applying from offshore, like as an international student, you do require a visa. So it's better to go onto the Department of Home Affairs website, check out the the dates or the days, how much is the timeline that is required to put your visa. Sometimes it could be 4 weeks, sometimes it could be more than that. So it's always better to put your visa in time. Next slide. Yeah, scholarships. So I think that's an interesting bit with a lot of international students. Whenever I'm doing education fairs, students do keep coming to me and asking me. So we've got some fantastic scholarships for our international students. First of them is the Tasmanian International Scholarship. I think this is one of the most popular one. They've got a 25% reduction on our registered tuition fee, which means that's like a wholesome amount of money, which is going to be saved. It becomes very easy on your pocket. The second one, which has been recently introduced, is the Early Acceptance Scholarship. Now, there are quite many nationalities that is eligible for the Early Acceptance Scholarship. All of them is mentioned on our website as well, so you can check if your nationality is available. So you will be getting a 15% reduction on the registered tuition fee. So now the interesting bit is that you can get a TIS, that is the Tasmanian International Scholarship, along with the Early Acceptance Scholarship. So that means you're having 35% scholarship. So that's a lot of money that you're saving. And that's, of course, like there are deadlines. So just keep an eye on those ones and apply as soon as possible. The last scholarship is the English language package. So we do offer 20 weeks of a complimentary English language program to international students. So students who are, have got to up their English language skill, or maybe you're not able to meet the entry requirement, it's better to apply for the English language package. But please do remember that your English language package has to finish before your main course starting date. So again, you've got to put an early application if you think your English language program will not be you need an English language package. Next slide. Just the last bit on the application process in terms of scholarship. So our scholarship process is quite simple. As soon as you put up your application, you are assessed against the Tasmanian International Scholarship or the Early Acceptance Scholarship. So you don't have to fill multiple application forms. It is automatically assessed. And when you get an offer letter, you will have scholarship mentioned out there. And the offer letter processing time is again not quite many weeks. So I think it's best to apply as soon as possible and experience University of Tasmania. Thank you. Chris, you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you. Apologies, everyone. Yeah, really, really appreciate all the questions that have been coming through. We're going to stay live for a while, and we'll stay here and answer the questions as they come through. So I can see there's a few that have popped through. So if you do have any questions, please answer them now. If for some reason we don't get a chance to get those, we will reach out to you with the answers to that. So I can see we've got some questions from that are being answered at the moment for Lilani, and I think I've got great. And just another question from is it Jacqueline? So we'll hang out and finish those. Great, and thank you all for coming. So it's lovely seeing these thank yous coming through. I think maybe we'll answer one of these questions live if we can, Maureen. We've got one. Will there be any consideration for an IELTS band lower than 7.0?
I doubt, but you can use the English language package if that's available for your country. So you can package that. That should make it a bit easier.
Absolutely.
But I think in terms of the social work, we're a bit, we cannot
Yes,
really reduce the requirements.
and
Sorry.
Kate mentioned that's an accreditation requirement for AASW. So absolutely, there will be. We can't accept anything lower than 7. See. So perhaps we can answer this live, Maureen, or this may not be something that we can answer. Is it compulsory for international students to go back to their countries after the completion of the degree program, or is it possible to work in Tasmania? So
I think this is going to depend on your visa obligation. So, in terms if your visa has got you're allowed to work, so that's a different subclass. Like on a student visa, you're allowed to do a part-time job, but in terms if you're getting onto some another visa, so you will have to follow the rules. So I would always recommend international student to go back to the Home Affairs website and just be 100% sure of what your obligations are.
We have a lot of international students stay and work as social workers when they finish. There are some requirements as well to do with the AASW to sort of get to the practicing level. There are things like, to practice here in Australia as on an international visa, you need to sort of show that you've had the social work degree, that you've got the IELTS of 7 with no band less than 7, those kind of things. So I often write letters for people to confirm for them to get that sort of license to operate here as a social worker. So definitely is possible, and definitely something that happens for a lot of our students. They see that as sort of their way to stay here and study with us and work with us as social workers. So follow those that advice from Maureen and how to make that happen.
great, thank you. Okay, now I'm just having a look at some of the other questions that are coming up, and I can see that a lot of these have been answered already in the previous Q&A. what we might do is I'll thank everyone for your time and we'll wrap up now. Any unanswered questions, we will be reaching out to those. So we do have them registered by your name. So thank you so much for coming, everyone. I'd like to really thank my colleagues, Belle, Kate, Marine, Narelle and Amelia. So thank you so much for this. It's been really informative for me as well. Yeah, and of those questions that we have left, we will reach out to you via the registered email. Thank you very much.